to make this little fairy now, and there's a couple of really cool features about her. I know you can't see it right here in the bright light, but not if the wings wasn't a giveaway that she's a fairy. The fact is her hair and her skin glows. And of course, you know, fairy skin glows. We all know that, right? Anyway, I have a couple of little tricks for adding glow-in-the-dark clay that we'll talk about. And we'll just talk about the general construction of her. Can go for, of course, a human too. Doesn't have to have the wings of a fairy. But we'll talk about how to construct the basic body and stuff here. The wings are kind of complex, and you'll need to do those ahead of time. So I'm going to start by showing you those, and then I'll go into how we did the rest of her. So, to do the wings, you can do them a lot of different ways. A lot of people will do an outline out of wire. I chose to do my outline out of clay, which doesn't make them the most stable thing in the world, but it's pretty cool because I use glow-in-the-dark clay. So what I did is I used my extruder here, and I extruded some glow-in-the-dark clay. This one is Fimo. It's a Fimo Soft. It's a little less green than some of the other brands. You know how glow-in-the-dark stuff can kind of look kind of greenish. You don't need this much at all. Just going to take one strand. And what I did was I just shaped out the wings. You can actually, you know, if you want them perfect, you can draw a pattern. I like patterns. But however you want the wings, you can just lay that out. I'm doing it here on black excuse me, on black paper so you can see it better. But what I actually did was I did it on a tile at home. But the tile would reflect in our lights here, so I'm doing it on black. So just go ahead, put your outline of your wings on a tile, and you can kind of press them down. And then I filled them in with liquid clay. I'm using Kato brand here. It's pretty clear, that's why I'm using it. So, but you can use whatever brand you have. I'll get the bubbles out, and you want to make sure that you're filling this whole area with the liquid. Make sure it gets up to the edges. If it leaks out, that's okay, you can trim it later. And when you're working with liquid clay, you want to make sure that, well, if you build it up in several small thin layers, it'll stay a little bit clearer. So that's what I'm going to do here. Just going to put down one thin layer, and then you do that on both sides. And then I sprinkled it with glitter. There's all kinds of glitter. There's iridescent stuff. This just happens to be a clear one. And then I baked that. When it comes out of the oven, see how you like it. I actually put on a second layer of liquid and a second layer of glitter just to give it a little more stability. But that's how I did the wings. So you're going to go ahead, might as well start with those, get those in the oven, get those baking, so they're ready to go when you need them at the end. Okay, so next, how did I get that skin to glow? Well, it's a secret formula. I'm only going to tell you, don't tell anyone else, it's a secret. I used 1 part Primo translucent, 1 part Primo beige, not ecru, but beige, and a little bit more than a half, probably like 3/4 of Fimo Soft white glitter. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually got, it's kind of translucent, but it has glitter in it. And then about 3/4 of Fimo Soft glow in the dark. So mix all that together, and the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest pinch of pink. I can't tell you enough how little pink you need, just to give it a little bit of tinge. It does make a difference, but if you put too much in, you're going to end up with really pink skin, and you don't really want that. So anyway, it was 1 part beige, 1 part translucent, and a little bit less than that of each of glow in the dark and white glitter. So that's what I did to get her skin tone. And it actually does glow. It looks perfectly normal here, but it will glow in the dark if you turn the lights out. All right, so constructing her body. It's in 2 layers, and I just used a heart cookie cutter. This is a pretty stiff clay, which you do want for the bottom part. And I just rolled it out. That's probably a number 2, maybe a 3, and used a heart cookie cutter, cut out 3 of them, and pressed them together like this. And brought it around as a cone shape. Takes a little, if your clay is stiff, then it's gonna pop apart, but just take your time and mold it into a cone, like that. And then the top layer is actually just a pinch of red mixed into translucent. And again, I made this thinner. This is probably a 4 on my pasta machine. And I centered them so that it was just off center from the other ones. Did the same thing, just kind of lay that over. Like that. Off center, there we go. So, like that. So it's 3 hearts for each layer. And there you go.